I call to order the school committee meeting of February 9th, 2026. Please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Ms. Genthner.
Kathleen Amaral.
Here.
John Nunes.
Yep.
Chris Oliver.
Here.
Mary Beckwith.
Here.
Jess Coughlin.
Here. This meeting is being recorded and it will be rebroadcast on DC TV and can be streamed on their YouTube channel at any time. We now welcome public comment from the audience on any topic of this evening's agenda. We have allowed 10 minutes for this, so please approach the mic, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, Nathan Silva. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I did have a chance to sit in on the budget subcommittee meeting a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for the approach the schools are going to be taking in the budgeting process. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Jim, but I think it's important that the schools ask for what they need and that we can have that discussion in public at the various budgeting discussions that need to be had. I think our kids have done enough at this point in time with the not having level services year after year. And I think it's time to stop that and get at minimum a level service budget. But there's a lot of needs in our schools, and I think we need to start filling those needs. So thank you for your time, your efforts, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Hi, Heather Noyes-Fredette, mom, staff member, and Dartmouth resident. I'd like to start by thanking you all for listening to those that have stood at this microphone, asking you to put forth a budget that really details what we need as a district. For too long, we've watched a yearly budget shrink to meet the constraints that the town has placed on us. There are many of us in town that work to stay informed. We listen to meetings, we attend meetings, we watch meetings, we send emails to advocate for the schools. We also talk to our family and friends about what we've learned. We know that education matters, and I mean that in all the ways you can interpret that sentence. Schools are the lifeline to kids 3 to 22. What we do in those buildings matter. But in addition to that, the act of educating others matters. It's how we move the needle and create change. Those of us plugged into these meetings are aware of the challenges you face as a board with the budget and the revenue issue that impacts all parts of this town, but not everyone is. I've stood here before and asked you to fight for the kids and your staff. You've done that, and I thank you. Today, I'm asking you to help those of us working to amplify your voices. Whether it be by a website or social media, it would be really helpful to share your work in bite-sized information, clear and concise, to get the word out, to help others in the town understand why funding the schools is such an important choice. I mean, who doesn't love a good infographic? You have support here. We are trying, but we need you to do some of that outreach work too. These meetings are one way people can be informed, but they can't be the only way. I hope you will consider a new venture that will help everyone understand your role, the school district's budget, and our needs, especially ahead of town meeting. Thank you.
My name is Peter Knowlton. I'm 35 Buttonwood Road. I'm also a town meeting member. And I'm just here to voice my support for what's already been said. And I've had 2 kids who have gone through the Dartmouth school system, lived here my entire life with our families. We understand the purpose of the school system, the importance of it to our town. When the majority of the budget of the town goes to education, it's something that we need to begin to elevate and to discuss as a town more. But that's only going to happen if you folks put forward a budget that the school needs, which seems like what you're doing, and to push that with the town and with the select board, and to make it a big discussion in the town amongst the residents. I think people are ready for it. I support it. I mean, I think we need to look where our tax dollars go. And then finally, in terms of our tax dollars, it drives me crazy how much money our tax dollars are going to private health insurance companies through the health insurance that we have in the town. And as the committee that represents a good chunk of the employees, the majority of the employees in the town, I hope you take a good look at the health insurance and how much the town is spending and how much it would save with legislation that's in the legislature now. It's important. It's a huge chunk of the budget. The town could save $5 million a year. But that's all part of it, is the economics of it as well. That is important for all of us to be looking at, regardless of how it's structured, but the most efficient, the most cost-effective, and most human way to do it. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. And I'm just one of those people, and also town meeting members, I said, that looks forward to keep working on this issue in the future and to support it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see no one else, so we will move forward. We will now look for a motion for approval of minutes for our regular session of January 27th, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Noon, seconded by Mr. Oliver. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention.
4 pro and 1 abstention. Thank you. And next up, we have the student representative report. We have Isabella Pyers, who is a junior, I believe.
Yes. Hi. So firstly, I just want to talk about how, in celebration of Black History Month, the Black Student Union will be hosting special screenings of the movie Soul by Pixar that explores themes of identity, purpose, culture, and the importance of community. This movie will be shown on February 24th and February 27th, which gives students multiple opportunities to attend. And these events will allow students to reflect, connect, and celebrate Black voices in storytelling. They are also working on decorating a few bulletin boards in the building, highlighting Black History Month. On top of this, the Women in STEM Club recently went on a field trip to St. Luke's Hospital, where they learned about different careers in healthcare and science. They heard from a panel of 8 women, leaders from departments like radiology, nutrition, and data services, who shared their paths from college to their current roles. Students also participated in a Q&A session and toured the hospital, including the simulation lab with lifelike patient mannequins. Overall, this experience was really informative and inspiring for the members. On February 13th, the Dartmouth High School National Honor Society will host its annual Valentine's Day dance at the Dartmouth Council of Aging. This long-standing tradition pairs students with local seniors for music and dancing and socializing, fostering meaningful intergenerational connections and serving as an important community service event. Finally, looking ahead, Dartmouth High School Orchestra will be performing next month at the newly renovated Zeiterion Theater. Students are very excited for the opportunity to perform in such a historic and professional venue.
Terrific.
That's right, I forget about
Thank you. I'm just writing down that you're going to be playing at the Z.
Do you have a date on that, Isabella?
I do not.
No worries.
I actually
No worries.
do have it on my calendar.
You
Let me
do?
just take
Okay.
a check.
I'm thinking March 26th.
Never mind, my internet's not working. So
Okay, never mind. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
that
Isabella.
report.
I do have the date. I'll send it to you.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. I know the next up, a spotlight on kids will be fascinating, but if you have homework or other obligations, feel free to leave.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Isabel.
And now, Dr. Saber McGuire, we have spotlight on
Yes,
kids.
clearly we have quite a crowd here this evening, so I will invite Mrs. Correa up, but I'm really excited to see all the folks that have come out this evening, including all of our DeMello students and families. It is really cold out there, so you have braved the weather, and here you are, and I know that you'll have some stories to tell us that I'm sure will allow us to gain some insight into all the wonderful things happening at the DeMello. So, Mrs. Correa, you have quite a crowd here.
I think they brought a lot of support.
They sure did.
You know, it takes a village, and everyone is showed up for everyone today, so it's a great way to start. So good evening, everyone, and once again, Mr. Hill and I thank you for this opportunity to spotlight what our kids at DeMello School have been up to so far this year. We thought that we would start tonight's presentation with just a quick overview of some of the typical things that we continue to do at DeMello School, and this slide kind of outlines the DeMello School traditions and events that we've spotlighted in previous years that we continue to do, such as Student of the Month assemblies, literacy events like our annual pumpkin book character and bookmark design contests, Unity Day celebrations, holiday sing-alongs, and PTO-sponsored events like our Fall Fest that was very successful. We brought back after a very long hiatus last October, and our new favorite tradition, which is Trunk or Treat, shortly before Halloween. So at last year's Spotlight presentation, we celebrated the work of our 4th and 5th grade student councils, as well as the 5th graders who made up the Howler newspaper team. And here on this slide, you can see this year's groups who, with the support and guidance of the 4th and 5th grade teachers, continue in the tradition of supporting our school and the community with many acts of service. In fact, just today, Gifts to Give published an article on their website about our 4th grade student council's work over the years in organizing donation drives for clothing, winter coats and hats and mittens, and sports equipment, all to benefit South Coast families in need. And I can tell you, this recognition filled the buckets of the entire school today when we received the news, which was particularly needed in the aftermath of yesterday's big game. And we are so proud of our 4th grade student council as well as our 5th grade student councils. So here are pictures of yet another exciting group of students at DeMello School, our 2024 and 2025 DeMello Invention Convention teams, who not only competed in the Bridgewater State University Invention Conventions, but took first place both years. So at this time, I'd like to invite Mrs. Liz Vosi, our instructional technology coach and invention team advisor, to talk to you a little bit about this year's team and introduce you to them.
Thank you so much, Ms. Correa. My name is Liz Vosi, and I'm the Instructional Technology Specialist at DeMello and Cushman, and this is our 3rd year participating in the Bridgewater State University Project Invention Convention, and we've had 2 incredible teams, but I have to tell you, this year's team is off to an amazing start, and they want to talk to you just a little bit about the process we're going through. We're about halfway through our invention prototyping and development, and they're just going to share a little bit of their journey with you.
Good evening. We are the DeMello Invention Convention team. I'm Hunter.
I'm Brady.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Gianna.
Mackenzie.
I'm Faith.
I'm Walter.
And we are excited to talk to you about our process so far.
We started our process by looking at ways to keep kids healthy and happy. We brainstormed a lot of challenges that kids have to keep themselves healthy and happy.
At first, we have 2 awesome ideas for a fun fidget water bottle and a silly soap stamp. We designed to develop a stamp to help kids remember to wash their hands when they go to the bathroom.
The idea is that when a kid asks to go to the bathroom, they will go to the stamp station and get a Wash My Hands stamp that is made of special ink that has soap ready in it. And when they get back to the classroom, the stamp will be gone because they washed their hands.
We got to work experimenting with ways to make stamp ink that is soapy when it is wet, it dries quickly. Then we found a solution, successfully solution.
We designed this Wash My Hands stamp and loaded it with our fancy, silly soap ink. Our next step will be designing and building a classroom stamp station that holds the auto stamper and other healthy features.
Would anyone on the school committee like to test out our prototype and get a silly soap stamp? We hope it will wash off easily after your meeting is over. If not, let us know because we're still in the research and development phase.
So in other words, you're looking for a guinea
Any volunteers? All right, we have Walter with our silly soap stamper loaded up. It goes on the back of your hand.
I'll do it too.
Hang on, let me put it down. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good idea.
I love it.
I love it. It's great.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I'll try it out. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Ms. Bosi, I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow.
Yes, thank
Yep.
you.
Let you know how it goes. Good job.
Awesome job, guys.
was
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
That was awesome.
A big thank you to Mrs. Vosi for all the hard work and the love that she puts into all she does for us at DeMello. We can't wait to send these students off to Bridgewater State, where they're sure to impress. All right, moving on, we are excited to talk about some new initiatives that we are working on at DeMello. As always, our work is grounded in the district strategic plan, and tonight we will be focused on initiatives aligned to the areas of teaching and learning, family and community engagement, and safe and supportive schools. I will now turn this over to Mr. Hill to take you into the work he is leading in supporting our students' social and emotional needs and learning at DeMello.
All right, good evening, school committee. Just gonna talk briefly, I got this, about, our initiative this year was to continue the conversation of implementing neuroaffirming practices and strategies within the classroom environment, and I just wanted to provide everybody a brief update on what we've been doing. I started with just a quick quote that came from one of our PDs this year: when sitting still decides who belongs, neurodivergent kids are often excluded. And, I put that there, for a reason, because it's our job as educators to know our students and really identify student needs and what we need to do to meet them where they're at. And for many of our kiddos, myself included now and as a little one, sitting still just didn't work for me. So, and that's okay, right? So we just need to make sure that we understand and are meeting our kids where they are at. So this year, Dr. Heather, our OT, has continued the conversation talking about neuroaffirming practices. And this year, we've included some of our staff members, some of our teachers, wide range, lower and upper, sharing their opportunities and what they've implemented in the classroom that have been effective for them. So what neuroaffirming practices and strategies they've used. And we found that that is super important. Staff hearing from their colleagues of what's working, really confirmed and really, I think it helped everyone really understand. And we're using those teachers as a go-to to say, hey, what works for you? Here's what I'm lacking. Here's where I'm struggling. And we can come together on that. So, for example, in kindergarten, Mrs. Condon shared ways that she's teaching her students how to effectively use fidgets in the classroom, understand the purpose that will carry them through the grades. And then Miss Aline in 5th grade shared what she does for just to help her class stay focused and organized. She takes pictures of what she wants her students' desks to look like, what the class look like. Sharing that as a visual really was a model for her students and found that to be super effective. So just some brief examples of what we are doing as a staff to best meet our kids where they're at, and it's great for our staff to listen in on that. And then PBIS, we meet monthly. And this year, we have been talking a lot about functional communication. So we know our elementary curriculum is rigorous, has high standards, and requires a high level of critical thinking. And not only that, our curriculum is also language heavy and requires our students to attend for lengthy amounts of time. So hearing from the committee, hearing from the teachers, we see our kiddos during instruction getting up from out of their seats, maybe getting a drink of water, using the bathroom. We're also seeing our students really trying to sit and focus, but are they really attending? Are they getting the sort of that little glazed look? And that really brought us to that functional communication. What are our students trying to tell us? So our PBS committee has developed a student survey. Right now it's grades 1 through 5. We'll focus on K with more pictures and visuals. And we are asking specific questions where, the information we get from the students are going to help drive our instruction and help drive what we need to do to best support them. For example, questions like, what subject do you like best? What's the hardest? What's the hardest about a certain subject area? And then more specifically, what kind of breaks do you need in order to stay attentive and focused? And then lastly, do you feel comfortable telling your teacher that you need a break? So we've designed these questions 1 through 5, and we've had to adopt them to be developmentally appropriate. And we'll be launching this within the next 2 weeks. Our PBS committee will come back and analyze that, share it with the staff, but then also share and offer strategies based off of the results to help all of our teachers, and that we hope will only create, and improve their ability to attend. So that's that.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Moving on to family and community engagement, this year we continue to look for new opportunities to keep our families connected to DeMello and to welcome them into the building more often. A new initiative that we are very excited about is our grade level Bring Your Family Member to School Math Days. Organized and presented by our exceptional math team, consisting of interventionists Kelly D'Ambrosio and Deb McGillick and math coach Jen Fitton. These 1-hour workshops are held during the school day, and we invite students and families to come together to play games designed to deepen students' conceptual understanding of math and practice math skills. So last month we held workshops for 5th graders and 4th graders and their families. Both workshops were very well attended and I think enjoyed by all. The concept of holding short events during the school day is, in my opinion, brilliant, especially when you consider the fact that it is often easier for caregivers to step away from work for an hour or two to attend a school event than it is to try to get to the family to a family night that competes with dinner and homework, sports, and other activities. Looking ahead, our literacy team is working on developing family reading workshops using this model. We'll report back to you on that at next year's Spotlight, we hope. And finally, we would love to spotlight work we are doing under the focus area of teaching and learning. As you know, last fall, we began the rollout of our new literacy resource, CKLA, across all K-5 classrooms at the elementary level. And while it has been a sizable undertaking, I will say without hesitation, our teachers have done an excellent job in bringing this program to their students. So you will remember that back in October, Mrs. Paveo presented an overview of this program to the school committee. CKLA uses complex grade level texts and daily read alouds to immerse students in fascinating units covering everything from literature and art to history and science. The units and lessons are designed to spark rich classroom discussions and expose students to robust vocabulary while teaching them comprehension and critical thinking skills. In my opinion, the content that the students are engaging with has transformed the literacy block into an exciting opportunity for our students to learn so much, but don't take our word for it. Hold on. We're going to have the students speak for themselves. And I'm not seeing the link. Mr. Galashar. Oh, is that it? That's it. Okay. Crisis averted.
I love how my teacher always, if she always expresses the words, and if it's dramatic, she'll be dramatic about it.
My favorite thing is that our teacher always teaches us new things every single day, and it's so fun to learn about. My favorite thing about CKLA is that now that I know all about insects, if someone asks me a question about insects, I would probably know the answer. And also, another thing is I just like having fun learning about new things. I like anything about CKLA, anything.
So, personally, I would definitely teach them like something about Don Quixote because in the first lesson we learned about like the steps of becoming a knight, which is a page, then a squire, and then you might become like a knight when you're like older. And I think that's really cool because when you become a page, you're like probably like 7 years old, and you learn to like ride a horse and all those things. Then when you're a squire, you have to like learn how to like dress the lord or the king or like what they call it, and like you have to learn how to like take care of actually like groom the horses. And then when you come to knight, you like protect them and like all the things that knights do.
Personally for me, I like the Aztec, the Inca, and Maya, and how like their different strategies of living. Like one grew potatoes, and one like grew corn, and some grew beans. But like the way like they farmed, like two of them were more like the same. One actually planted on a mountain, and the others planted on like a rock platform. But the one I thought that was like the coolest was the Aztec, where they made like farm boats where they farmed on the water.
My favorite thing was probably learning about the Middle Ages because it had a lot of knowledge and fun facts, including fun and interesting stuff like wars and kings. And a fun fact is that people in the Middle Ages weren't just the same power. They had the least power, which were the serfs, and the most power, which were the kings. Sure. I think my favorite thing I've learned in reading class is poetry. I like poetry the most because it kind of shows how you can be talking about a bird, but it could actually mean something completely different, like your mother or something. And it allows you, if you're upset or you have something going on, you can express yourself and make it feel like it's off your back.
I like the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca because they really made stuff out of nothing.
I like poems because, just like Rowan said, you can express yourself without saying words. Like if you're shy and you don't want to, and you're feeling down and something's going on in your life and you don't want to say it to someone because that would just make you more upset, you could write it in words and like send it to them.
So, some plants need like water, sunlight, and we need water and sunlight too, and food, because my grandmother has plants for her food. So they also need food like us. And also when the flowers die, the seeds in the middle fall down, and you can either plant a new sunflower or whatever kind of flower it is, or you can either eat them. And Goldilocks went to the three bears' house, and they'll sit and then try their porridge, eat their porridge, and sit on their chairs and sweep on them, and they're bad.
And was that a good decision for Goldilocks to make? What do you think about Goldilocks doing all of those things in the bear's house?
Bad choice.
So we were recording during gym, during like drop off when the doorbell rang. So it picked up all the noise around. I'm sure everyone picked up on, but it was fun listening to the kids talk. And we had much more footage, but Mrs. Vosey pared it down to that nice video. So thanks again to Mrs. Vosey. So last month, our fourth graders were brought into the world of inventors, inventions, and inventing with the Eureka Student Inventor Unit. This unit serves as a perfect example of how this literacy program blends rigorous academic standards with high-interest real-world applications. Throughout this unit, our students didn't just read about the history of inventions, they stepped into the shoes of innovators. On a daily basis, they engaged with complex informational text to explore the lives of famous inventors and groundbreaking inventions. Our students learned to identify the quote-unquote spark of an idea and research the persistence required of inventors to move from failure to eureka, which we all learned is a Greek word for I have found it. Over the course of this unit, our fourth graders were also challenged to generate their own invention ideas and create their own persuasive pitches to explain why their invention is important. I think the teachers would wholeheartedly agree that the heart of this unit was the team invention process. Students were put into invention teams where they were required to work together to identify a problem to solve as a group. They then assumed roles in designing, writing about, and presenting their ideas. All students were then expected to provide and accept feedback from their peers on improving their invention prototypes. The unit transformed the literacy block into a laboratory of ideas. By the end of the unit, our fourth graders hadn't just improved their reading skills and vocabulary, they had developed the critical thinking skills and resilience of true inventors. And to wrap up tonight's presentation, we have brought some of these students to share their thoughts on this amazing unit and maybe even show you their team's invention. So fourth graders.
Good evening. Our names are Claire, Emma, and Ellie. We are students in Mrs. Markey's class.
We are learning about famous inventors and inventions during our CKLA literacy block.
For instance, did you know that a woman named Ruth Wakefield invented the chocolate chip cookie in 1938? It was invented in a restaurant near Boston called the Toll House Inn. We've also have been using such skills as collaboration, research, planning, and even learning to fail while we tried out our own inventing and building skills. This is our invention.
We were asked to build something that could throw away a piece of trash from 2 feet away.
This is how it works. Our invention is made from 4 cardboard boxes, 2 pieces of string, and about 70 pieces of tape.
Miss Markey gave us a white piece of paper and she crumbled it up, and we had to put the white piece of paper in our invention and we had to throw it, toss it down to go in the trash can.
We taped our invention to the table at an angle that it would roll. The piece of paper you put it in, and then it would roll into the trash.
It was very successful. They did a wonderful job.
Great, thank you. And we have a group from Mrs. Rafferty's fourth grade.
Hi, my name is Gabby.
Hi, my name is Henry.
Hi, my name is Phoenix.
Hi, my name is Annalise.
Hi, my name is Evelyn.
We also have our invention, which we call the Grapple 104. And we had the same wad of paper. We used cardboard, popsicle sticks, and tape and pipe cleaners to make our invention. Annalise is going to show us how it works.
So how the invention works is you would put the wad of paper inside. Wait, can somebody?
Want me to hold this?
You can. You would put the wad of paper inside the grabber, and you would sit down from 2 feet away from the trash can. You would hold it out, grabbing the piece of paper, and when it was ready, you would let go, and the piece of paper would fall inside the trash can. We tried this 8 times, and we had to get 6 out of 8 correct to get 75%. We didn't, though, and we got 50%. But when we tried again, we got 100. We also learned that we can learn from our mistakes and we don't have to get it on the first try.
Like Thomas Edison, he messed up the light bulbs over 99 times. I think that's what motivated us.
Like Phoenix learned
that invention breeds invention. Like Jacques Cousteau,
he wanted to see underwater, so he made the aqua lung, so he can swim deep down underwater and see the ocean, but he couldn't really see well, so he made an underwater camera so he can see.
And while we're talking about Jacques Cousteau, we also made inventor cards and one about him. Some of the questions were birth date, birthplace, inventions, and a challenge or disappointment that he faced. I think one of the cards, the Jacques Cousteau, I think why I made it so intriguing was because he was in such a big car accident, and when he was rehabbing underwater, and that's how he learned to walk again. And he realized, can I make an invention that would help the world underwater more? And so he made the aqua lung and the underwater camera, which I think is really inspiring.
I think that invention breeds invention is an amazing way to explain what we've been learning. Without the CKLA unit, I probably wouldn't even know who Jacques Cousteau was. I'm very grateful for it, and I hope I get to do more knowledge next year in the same program.
And for our trash challenge, where we had to build this, some of our classmates made these diagrams. If you want to pass it around.
Somebody's very talented.
Yeah.
It's neat. Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, and stored. Yeah, even compacts.
Really cool.
Nice job.
Nice job.
Very detailed.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent.
I see we have budding engineers here.
I think so.
That's exactly what it is. Let's take a look.
Considering I can't draw a straight line with a straight edge.
Oh, that's
So impressive.
Good job.
No, it's
Nice.
It's a slingshot.
That's great.
It's a piece of cardboard. Basically, they've diagrammed what they built, what they made.
Amazing.
Inventions.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Wow. Great work.
So,
You should all be very proud of yourselves.
Excellent. The tail wags when it is full. Wow. That's
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you.
We did not actually make these diagrams. These are from some of our other classmates. But our teacher thought it was a good idea to spotlight them because we're not the only ones who are learning.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
you.
terrific.
Fantastic.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. I have one more thing to add. It was very hard to make this invention, especially when Miss Rafferty was like tearing apart all the cardboard and we were all yelling, "No, save some big pieces." But she wouldn't leave any under 2 feet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Mrs. Markey and Mrs. Rafferty for helping the kids get together and for making sure they were here to support them tonight. We appreciate that. We'll take any questions or comments on
Fantastic.
tonight's presentation.
Anyone?
No, it just
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. I just, I love how you were so, I'm always so impressed when we have students who are able to articulate the work that they're doing in the classroom. And tonight was just an amazing example of that. And I actually loved how when you were talking about like, you know, the trial and the error, and I just reminded me of like a mantra in my house is that I have a sophomore, and she's AP classes or whatever, and I say, we don't lose, we learn. And it sounds like you have taken that lesson to heart, and I hope it remains with you, because as long as you do your best and you learn these skills and you work with others, you're never going to lose. You're always going to learn, and probably going to win, but just wanted to share that.
Just fantastic. It really is, the presentation, and then the best part, no disrespect, the students doing what they're, showing what they're doing type of deal. That's what makes, for me, this enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Mr. Nunes. You know, as much as I love budget and policy, Pat Saban McGuire and Mr. Kiley, I would much, the highlight for me on school committee is to see all the kiddos coming out and presenting at nights like this. So a job well done. Great presentation as well. I love the family and community engagement and the outreach you're doing with that, and bringing in families for the math hour during the day. What a great idea. You know, and it sounds like it's been very well received. So just congratulations once again to all the students, and for the teachers as well. And to you.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. It's just so great to see the range of things that you're doing across grades, across subject matter, and making learning so exciting for the students. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciated in particular the voice and choice for students and giving them a questionnaire so they can have input into their learning. Also, it's great to see the outcome of CKLA and see how that's working. From what I've seen when I visited schools and tonight, it seems like it's a very well received program. Are there any negatives, or are there anybody that doesn't like it? It just seems really wonderful. It's very engaging.
It's fascinating because we've been in classrooms with young children who are taking on, ancient Greece, the Roman Empire. They take on astronomy. They're looking at all of these different things, and I've never engaged in a conversation with a student who didn't have something to share and wasn't excited about it. And that we thought this is going to be really good. We piloted at DeMello last year, and it was very, very well received. But the kids can all talk to you about what they're learning. I had so much footage from just talking to kids. What did you learn in CKLA? What's the favorite thing you learned? What's the biggest vocabulary word that you love to use? And everyone went on and on and on. So, it's been a heavy lift for the teachers, and we knew that it would be, and they're doing such a great job. And every CKLA lesson that we walk into, there's engagement, and the kids are learning, and they're talking about it. We ended up buying a lot of books to go in our school library to go with these units. So if a kid was really excited about farms in kindergarten, or fairy tales, or wanted to learn more about insects, they could go to the library once a week and have access to even more text. And that's taken off a bit too. But there's just a lot of enthusiasm. They're just learning so much, and they think it's the coolest thing that, 1 month they might be working in science, but then the next month they're focused on history, they're writing poetry. It's wonderful. It's really been energizing and very positive. It's a lot of work. The kids are learning a lot, but they're doing really well with it also.
Terrific.
I just want to thank you for doing the superintendent's update under teaching and learning for me. So thank you all very much. I think we heard so much about what the students are learning, and it's really, for me, that's very gratifying to hear the kids be able to talk about what they're learning in just such a articulate way, and without any notes. Impressive.
And we didn't tell them to say all those wonderful things. We just let the camera go, and they kind of said what they needed to say, right?
And that's what's so, I think, important to recognize is the authenticity which we 100%. Heard when the students were speaking to us, and that's the best part of the work. You said, I think, Mr. Oliver, you said this is the best part. I mean, I would rather talk and listen to students over talking about budget and policy as well, but thank you so much, and thank you to all of our students And thank you to our families. Thank you to our teachers. So much work went into this, and it really showed. So wonderful job. And if you want to hang out and listen to us talk about budget and policy, that's just about what we're going to be doing next. So thank you again for coming out. Stay warm.
Thank you. And school committee always has an open invitation to visit us anytime at DeMello School. Come and walk through the rooms with us and see it in action for yourself. We'd love that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next up, we have a consent agenda, and we all should have...
Madam Chair?
Oh.
Just wait till they leave, so give it a second. Thank you.
They're excited.
Okay. So,
thank you.
As I said, we have two consent agendas coming up. The WGI World Championship Indoor Color Guard for April 1st through 6th in Dayton, Ohio, and the WGI World Championships Indoor Percussion, April 18th to 13th.
Yeah.
This is 2000. Okay, in Dayton, Ohio.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, those, the Winter Guard is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's the
Right.
Power Regional.
Where am
On March 20th to the 22nd.
I'm just noticing as I look at the brief, I think
Yeah.
those are last year's dates.
Yes. Yeah, they
and
are.
So,
Yeah.
They are.
So what we're looking at now for the consent agenda is the trip to the indoor percussion team to attend the field trip to Toms River, New Jersey. That's March 7th and 8th. And then the second one is the Winter Guard, as Mr. I know, we were just saying, so sorry about that.
No problem.
But March 20th and through 22nd. And that is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
All right. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion by Mr. Noon, second by Ms. Amaral. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that was unanimous. And I am sorry about the glitch.
No problem.
About that.
No problem.
But now, for the most important presentation on the fiscal year 27 proposed budget.
Great, I'm just...
Dr. Stephen McGuire.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to kick it off by just making a statement regarding the budget. We've heard from some folks already here this evening, and so before Mr. Kiley gets into the details, we want to take a moment to provide some what we think is important context for the work behind it. So this proposed budget has truly been developed with great care and intention. It's aligned with our district strategic plan. It's designed to ensure that each recommendation moves Dartmouth Public Schools forward, and it's also mindful of the fiscal realities we face as a community. So we're acutely aware that this budget is being presented during a time of significant financial pressure, not only for the school district, but across the town as a whole. Rising costs are a real thing. We know that. Contractual obligations, special education expenditures, transportation and utilities, these obligations continue to place real strain on municipal budgets. In this environment, every decision that we make requires thoughtful balance between need, impact, and sustainability. And one of the things that I pay a lot of attention to is every morning MASC, as I'm sure you all receive the updated bulletin, and around the Commonwealth, there are so many communities that are facing the same exact kind of pressures that we're facing here in Dartmouth. So at the same time, we've been intentional about listening. We kind of heard that tonight. Over the past year, we've gathered input from families, from faculty, from staff. We've done that both formally and informally. We've we've gone out to meetings. For instance, when I go out as a parent, I as a superintendent, I go to some of the PTO meetings and I do talk to parents about the budget. I've had an opportunity to do that, and I'll visit every school's PTO at least once this year to have those conversations. We administer surveys, and we do have ongoing conversations in our schools. This budget reflects those voices and responds directly to what our community has asked of us, particularly in the areas of student support, staffing, and services that address increasingly complex student needs. So this proposal does include investments, important investments that support our strategic priorities, but I believe it also reflects restraint. There have been thoughtful and well-considered requests that could not be funded this year. Not every single thing made it into this budget proposal, but underscoring the difficult choices that we need to make, we have to make them in this current fiscal climate. Those needs haven't been forgotten, and they'll continue to inform our future planning, and we need to be strategic about adding things in over time and responding to the most immediate needs of the school district. Ultimately, though, this budget does reflect our best effort to be responsible stewards of public resources, to remain focused on our mission, which is supporting students, empowering our staff, and preparing this district for the future. With that context, we are looking forward to presenting our FY27 proposed budget and the continuing discussions that will result with our committee, with the school committee, and with the town and the community. So thank you, and Mr. Kiley, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about some of the details and the hard work that you've done over the past few months in putting this budget together for public presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Saban-McGuire. So, yes, as you know, it's been months in the making to get to this point, and I appreciate your patience with us as we prepare a very important document for you to consider. And as we go through this process, and certainly even as we go through the presentation tonight, if you have questions along the way, feel free to interrupt me. We'd be happy to discuss things as we go, or happy to discuss things afterwards. And we'll have the opportunity over the next few school committee meetings to really dive into this more, and get more involved in this important process. So, thank you. As Dr. Saban-McGuire mentioned, we continue to focus our efforts on aligning our resources to the strategic plan. So we made the strategic plan an actionable plan, and this budget reflects alignment of resources to the strategic plan objectives. Tonight, we're asking for resources to support further progress towards meeting those objectives. But first, a little bit about our kids. So this slide shows K through 12 enrollment and class size. So you'll notice that our enrollment is this is fairly stable, projected in FY27. Right now, we have 3,251 students across all the grades. We have K through 5 average class size of 22 students projected in FY27, 6 through 8 average class size of 21. We've talked a little bit about in the past that class size varies, obviously at the high school, depending upon the offering. And we have an average of 12.2 to 1 student-teacher ratio. Just for your information, that's slightly larger than the state average, which is 11.9 students to each teacher. We'll talk a little bit more about our staffing as we go on with the presentation.
Ms. Colley?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, do you mind? Couple of questions, just for the enrollment. Is that as of October 1 report, or is that live?
No, it was January 1st,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Yep.
And just, I don't know if it's in here, I didn't go through the entire 72 pages of the budget. Do we happen to know what our out-of-district enrollment is that we're financially responsible for?
I can give you that
I was
as
just-
we go through.
I was just curious on that. And
Yep.
then
It's about
also,
40 students. I
just so
believe.
for the public to be aware as well, the 12.2 students to one teacher, I'm assuming that takes into consideration our coaches,
Yes.
our
Clearly.
instructional coaches,
Mhm.
and all that,
Mhm.
not just classroom staff.
That's right. No,
Thank
it's
you.
we don't have any classes with 12
students.
students in them. We are certainly significantly higher than that on average. So
Thank you, Mr. Tyler.
Yes. So the other thing about enrollment is there's a lot of discussion in town about new developments. And we just wanted to make you aware that we've been in discussion, Dr. Sabe McGuire and I have been meeting with the town administrator and the town finance director regularly. We're in discussion with them about the new developments and what they might mean to the town from a enrollment standpoint. At the current time, it is, we believe that there will not be a new development online during fiscal year 27. So the timeline for, constructing these projects would be after that. But there certainly is a future impact on the horizon. So we'll keep you informed as that develops. And I would imagine the fiscal year 28 budget, it could be a significant impact. So we've talked before about our sort of selected student populations, and I think that in recent years this has been a major factor in terms of driving our needs, our staffing needs, and how we serve our students. So we continue to see that about 43, it's now sort of leveled off, where about 43% of our students are high needs. That is up from 29% 10 years ago. So a significant increase in high needs students. Of our low income students, that appears to be sort of leveling off around 29% right now. So, we're certainly happy to see a little bit of a decline from sort of the COVID peak there of 33% down to about 29 and into that leveling off period. But if we look where we started with that at 18% 10 years ago, it's up 11%. So significant increased need for our students. Of students with disabilities, we see a similar trend. This one is a little more consistent, where we're now up to 21.9% of our students identified with disabilities, up from 13%. So again, a significant increase. And as we see our students continuing to become needier as a percentage year after year, our allocation of resources becomes more challenging. And during that stretch, our budgets really have only increased very modestly. So more of a cost of living increase than an actual increase in terms of addressing these needs. So it is placing more of a burden on the finances, and we're getting to the point where we just don't have the resources to serve students in the way that we should be. So, per pupil spending, this was a little interesting as we updated from last year. So this is fiscal year 24 per pupil spending. So we just finished in July, fiscal year 25. The state doesn't publish those numbers very quickly. So in fact, they just published these numbers, fiscal year 24. So it is a little bit behind, but what we found was that we are $3,824 per student below the state average. So of the 319 reporting districts, we're 263rd. That's not really a good place to be, obviously. In the prior year, we were $2,752 per student below the state average. So think about that. We were $2,752 below the state average. We're now $3,824. So we're significantly falling further behind in terms of dollars. And I didn't expect to see that, to be honest, but the gap is widening. And we'll see that through as a trend through some of these other categories. So we're $592 per student below average in teachers. Of the 319 districts, we were 187th. We were $276 per student below average in teachers in the previous fiscal year. So again, falling further behind. We're 38% or $1,418 per student below average in insurance and benefits. Of the 319 districts, we are 303rd. In the prior year, we were similarly 38%, but we were $1,264 per student below average. So not as dramatic a change from year to year, but still falling further behind with the gap widening. In terms of administration, we are 32% or $243 per student below average. We're 281st of 319 districts. That was pretty similar to the prior year. In terms of operations and maintenance, we're 35%, $650 per student below average. We're 286th of 319, so really at the towards the bottom again in that category. That was similar to the prior year. In terms of pupil services spending, so things like transportation, athletics, music, student activities, nursing services, we're $201 per student below average, 8% below. We're 163rd of 319 districts. In the prior year, we were just $9 below average. So we were pretty close to average, and now we're slipping significantly, almost $200 per student. So I guess, in terms of what this tells us, well, I guess the positive thing would be that in Dartmouth, you continue to receive strong return on your investment. We have an above average performing school district, obviously at far below average cost. However, with these numbers coupled with the increases in student needs, this is not a thing that can continue indefinitely. There's no way that we'll be able to sustain the level of performance with these diminishing levels of funding. So, more investment is required, definitely. Speaking of, so we look at staffing. So that per pupil spending deficit, you can see a little bit about why that is happening, one reason why it's happening. So the top line is Dartmouth's staffing level per 100 students. The bottom numbers of data there is the state's staff per 100 students. So what you'll see is that Dartmouth has less staff per 100 students in every category across the board. Teachers, 8.2 versus 8.3 for the state. Paraprofessionals, 1.2 versus 2.8 for the state. Leadership, 0.7 to 1.2 for the state. Student support, 0.6 to 0.8 for the state. Clerical, 0.6 to 1.0 for the state. And technology, 0.1 to 0.2 for the state. So that's the most up-to-date numbers from 2025. Those are recent numbers from last year. So that's part of why our spending is what it is. So there are key budget factors that we had to consider in formulating the FY27 budget. And I'm going to walk you through some of these And I won't speak about everyone individually, but I'd be happy to talk about them more if you know, you have a specific interest in or question in one. So salaries represent almost 80% of our budget. You know, we're in the people business, and so our cost of living adjustments for fiscal year 27 range from 3.5% to 5%. Then when we add in contractual step, longevity, and other contractual increases, the result is the salary part of our budget, almost 80% of our budget, is increasing approximately 5%. So that's where we're starting from. Other factors, such as the increasingly needy student population, are significant. So additional contracted services needed, additional tuition, additional transportation costs, all increasing significantly. You'll see them on that list. For some areas of the budget, we've incorporated an adjustment to reflect actual costs. So we have, and I had to look because I hadn't seen, I couldn't recall exactly when this started, but we had not increased the supply side of our budget since 2019. No increase. So level funding since 2019. And that was really because, not because it wasn't needed, but because there was such economic pressure, financial pressure on us in the budgeting process that we just continued to try and live with what we had. But as we know, inflation since 2019 has been incredible. So really, we're just trying to string it together with less. And so we've made some minor adjustments. I mean, they really are not the driving factor of this budget because, again, most of our costs are staffing related. But
on the instructional supplies, have we just, I mean, we just haven't been buying as much, or we've been
skimping,
supplementing with donations?
Yes, and skimping, and so we've on instructional supplies we've built in a 12% increase, which is not. I mean, the rate of inflation in this small time period is significantly more than that, but we built in something to begin to address those needs. Similarly, we've adjusted the athletics and music budgets, which also have not been increased in recent years, and the need to support those programs and continue those major programs of ours is there, and so we've adjusted those to reflect that. We've also increased the maintenance and utilities budget. So, I mean, you've heard me talk many times about our aging facilities and what we're doing. We're doing everything we can, but what we have is not sufficient to fix what goes wrong in these buildings. We have made an adjustment to the maintenance and utilities budget for $365,000. That is not for major repairs or improvements. That's just day-to-day fixes and routine maintenance. So sounds like a bit of money, but when it's spread over the six school buildings, it's not a lot of money, and it's probably not enough. But it is an increase, and it will help us do what we have to do to maintain these buildings long-term, because at the moment, we're not getting any new ones. So,
Madam Chair, through you, Mr. Kiley, just for curiosity, with the type of winter that we've had, how are our utility bills and costs coming in?
They're high, as you would expect, right? We've had record cold temperatures. We've had some real issues, and coupled with the fact that our heating systems are not working very well at the moment. They're very inconsistent, and we're doing what we can to fix them and provide the right learning environment for kids, but it's been a battle this winter. And it's you're about a month behind with all the utility bills, but by the time you get the new utility bill, it's for a month ago. So what we've seen so far is pretty high utility bills. Yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
significant. The other thing on there that I'll just mention, we'll talk more about it, so I'm not going to dwell on this at the moment, but staff moved from school choice, $245,000. Just remember that. We have a whole slide on school choice, so we'll talk about that. So this is the sort of, I guess the exciting part of the budget, where we're actually trying to implement strategic plan objectives and meet student needs. So we are proposing 4 education support professionals, 1 in each of the elementary schools. You did notice our staffing level of education support professionals is
I brought that
low.
up last year.
You did.
About
You did.
ESPs. And I hear the staff in Dartmouth. I am well aware that we are under with our educational support professionals, and I think I was on the budget subcommittee with Bess, and I think this will go a long ways towards at least addressing some of those needs and some of those concerns. But it's certainly still, ultimately when you look at the numbers Mr. Kiley shared with us in rankings across the state, it's certainly, with the needs we're seeing right now, it's certainly not enough.
We are proposing 3 registered behavior technicians at the elementary schools. So they will support students and staff to implement behavior plans for our kids. 1 adjustment counselor at Dartmouth Middle School. We currently have 1 adjustment counselor for the whole school. So if you think about that, there's 840-ish kids right now with 1 adjustment counselor. 1 job coach for the Atlas program at Dartmouth High School. So you all, I think, are familiar with the Atlas program serving our 18 to 22 student population here at DHS. And next year we'll have 14 students in that program. It's been a very successful program. Certainly great that we've been able to provide that program for kids. The issue is that with 14 students in the program, there is no way that our current staffing can meet all of those students' needs. The alternative to this is really not palatable. Number one, there would be students that we would just not be able to serve in the program, and from a financial perspective, it would make absolutely no sense, because the cost of sending a student out to a different program in which we'd be paying tuition would be significantly more than this cost. So I think it's a wise investment. We're also recommending 1 special education team facilitator position. So this position would support students with special needs and the staff that serve them. With the addition of this position, we've got a plan in place that we are working on currently, but what it would mean is that the high school and middle school would have additional support and really have full-time support at both of those facilities.
And did we ask for that last year and then decide not to?
We asked for team facilitators last year, and we did add 2 team facilitators. Okay. So knowing that we wouldn't be able to get as many as we needed last year, now we've added an additional 1 to this year's budget.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm just asking, just because you said it was okay to interrupt. I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to lose your train of thought, Mr. Kiley. But either you or Dr. Saban McGuire, can we just talk a little bit about, for everyone at home and everyone in the audience, around what our SPED team facilitators do? Because people hear facilitator and not teacher, and people may wonder they're not directly in front.
Here
of
comes
students.
Mrs. Denisio running to the microphone.
I figured she might be coming up here. Did they make a difference this year, the 2 that we invested in?
I think they made quite a difference. We hold anywhere from
10 to 25 IEP team meetings a week in the various buildings. And so these team facilitators have sort of taken on that burden of running the meetings. They're also supporting special ed teachers and related service providers with scheduling meetings, which is really a lot. And also the paperwork, the IEPs, and sort of shoring that up after the meeting. So while it's working great and they have been an amazing addition, they're scheduled in different days in different buildings, which sometimes can burden the staff in that buildings because they might have 2 or 3 team meetings in a day, which is a lot when you're trying to, teach a class or see kids. Sure. So this additional one, again, like Mr. Kiley said, probably we would have one for the middle school alone because there's a lot going on there, and one for the high school alone. Because again, just the scheduling and the rotating schedule, it's tricky to hold all those team meetings.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm sorry, if I could just add a little bit to that too, Mrs. Dionisio, because I know that you absolutely know this is one of the things that we're really working on is consistency. And when I say consistency, we're talking pre-K to 12 consistency in the way our IEPs are developed. And by having a core group of folks that are working together and have common understanding of the way an IEP is developed and what services and what our structures, systems and structures here are in Dartmouth, having those core people is key to being able to do that rather than having sort of disparate approaches because we're in different buildings. And I would just add, another, not as obvious sometimes, speaking to your question of this isn't a teacher, whenever we bring positions like this in, and Mrs. Dionisio did address this, but I just want to reiterate, it's meant to take some of that workload off of the teacher who's delivering direct instruction to students. It's meant to remove some of those administrative tasks that some of our teachers, especially our special ed teachers, special educators, are required to do. And so that's the goal. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Dionisio.
So we've also recommended the addition of 1 maintenance staff position. Again, supporting these aging buildings that we have. We've also included the human resources position. So we've had a fair amount of discussion about that, and boy, we live it every day. Again, we're expressing that need.
And I want to jump in again. I have a lot to say tonight. Human resources, based upon discussions we had last year around this, we're bringing this back around. It was originally presented at our budget subcommittee meeting. It's certainly, we don't have we do. We're looking at the HR people at the table here, the HR department, but we don't have, for the amount of staff that we have, we don't have anyone dedicated to HR. Town Hall has, I believe Town Hall does have an HR director that oversees the Town Hall staff, but we do not have, we are the biggest department in this town, and we do not have anyone overseeing we do, but we don't have a dedicated person just focusing on HR. And that burden that person could certainly help take the burden off of some of our staff here to focus on other initiatives in day-to-day operations.
Yeah, and I would also say any business that employed 600 employees would definitely have a dedicated HR person.
No.
Thank you. Yes.
We caved last year, but not this year.
We also incorporated a proposal for an additional technology staff person to provide support for students and staff. We added a stipend for seasonal athletic event coordination. So some of our largest events are athletic events in terms of attendance and public facing events. So it's very important to have consistency of coordination of those events. We have our athletic director who can only be at one event at a time, and we would really hope that we could incorporate this and have someone, a stipend position in which, one of our staff members likely would be employed in this role and have consistent coordination for our events. In addition to that, lastly, we have included a 0.5 FTE elementary instrumental music teacher to reinstitute elementary music lessons for fifth graders. So this that opportunity was eliminated several years ago for kids, and we hope to bring that back with this proposal. So, in all, here most of our significant, these are all staffing recommendations. They amount to 13.5 FTEs that we are proposing added to our budget.
And I would say in the last 10 years, how many people do you think we've lost?
We've lost and reallocated many positions. Because of the increase in our students with high needs, oftentimes the only way we got through a budget process was by addressing, maybe there was some declining enrollment in which we eliminated sections at the elementary or middle school or high school level, and as a result reallocated those staff to provide services to students with high needs. So we did that a ton. And we also eliminated positions along the way. And unfortunately, that has a toll on our ability to provide the right services. So we're hoping that we can begin to address that with this proposal. This is one step, of course, in the process. This isn't the end, but this is a step. There were a few positions that were proposed that we did not incorporate into this budget. We just weren't able to. Dr. Sabe McGuire mentioned, we're cognizant of fiscal realities, and we understand that there is a limited pool of resources. So the following positions: the behavior specialist at the elementary school. We do have 2 currently, and we were not able to add a 3rd into this budget. Special education teacher at the elementary level, we were not able to add, and a reading specialist at Dartmouth Middle School, we were not able to add into this budget at this point. School choice. So,
can we just go back to that last slide?
Mm-hmm.
So, you said we currently have 2 behavioral specialists in the elementary school, and actually the reading specialist. How many reading specialists do we currently have?
At the middle school level, we don't have any.
Okay. So that.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, you're one.
We still, okay. We had 2. Okay.
So for kids that are struggling, how?
Well, we have special educators.
Okay.
So what we did with one of the reading specialist positions is we converted it to a special educator so that students who are having difficulty reading at the middle school level typically would be receiving services through an IEP. So that was what we did with one of the reading specialist positions at the middle school level.
Okay.
So school choice. So this is an updated plan. Last year, Fiscal year 26 budget process, we worked in collaboration with other town boards to create a plan to gradually reduce the reliance on the school choice funding. So gradually, we would be less reliant on the reserves in the school choice account. The town boards at that time all agreed to this plan, which is to increase operating budget spending by $245,000 annually to bring us to the point after 5 years. There's a lot of numbers on that screen, but you'll see that after 5 years, we will expend approximately what we earn in the school choice revolving account. So this plan is updated for fiscal year 27, which is year 2 of the 5-year plan, and each year we'll decrease the funding for staff positions, and that is what is reflected in the fiscal year 27 budget. So the incorporation of $245,000 of staff into the operating budget from what was formerly funded by school choice.
So looking at this, Mr. Kiley, if you look at the projections out through FY33, that it's great that we're ultimately going to be, being financially responsible and spending what we're taking in with not having this huge lump sum of money in there. I know there was some finance committee at one point concerns around the amount of money we had in there because of all the grants we got from COVID. But one of the things that I really just want to mention is that at any point, and the public needs to be aware of this, at any point as new school committee members come in, if one of us decides not to run or someone else gets in, any school committee can, we just voted on, I believe at the last school committee meeting, can vote to not engage in school choice. So if there ever comes a time in which the school committee, and obviously, yes, it'll take some time because our high school students will have to matriculate out and will still be receiving school choice funds until those high school students graduate. But it could go away, and we're looking at $700,000 that ultimately we're going to have to come up with if that were to ever go away. And the other point I just want to make is that looking at the FY27 estimates on the cherry sheets, that when it comes down to it, there's a lot of talk about, is school choice really worth it? And I think it is, because when you look at the assessments that we're giving out over $500,000 in school choice tuitions in this district. If I had to do the math, it would be somewhere between 80 and 100 students that are school choice out of Dartmouth. So why is that? Could be a variety of reasons. However, it's important to note that between the 80 and 100 students in Dartmouth are school choiced out, and really, I just did some quick math based on what we're going to be looking at next year, is that it's around $120,000 net in school choice taken. And I don't know if I'm sure you've looked at that, Mr. Kiley.
Yes.
So it's just important to note that it's 100, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's 100% worth it to accept school choice, especially at the high school level. So I just want everyone to be cognizant of that. Thank you, Mr. Kiley.
Thank you. So, what does all this mean? So in our fiscal year 26 budget is $55,431,558. So all of the things we talked about on the key budget factors slide, so all of these things, the 80% of our budget that is salary driven, contractual salary increases, and all of these other things mean that we are building in a budget increase of $2,781,229, or 5.02%. The incorporation of the $245,000 that is the school choice plan is an additional $245,000, which is 0.44% of the total. The budget recommendations that we went through totaled $768,500 for a 1.39% budget increase, for a total FY27 draft budget of $59,226,287, 6.85% budget increase. So that's what all that means, broken down, and as you know, much of it is sort of out of our control. But you know, with targeted investments towards strategic plan objectives, that is what we're proposing.
3.8.
So another way to take a look at that. This slide compares the fiscal year 26 to 27 proposed budget with the dollars changed in each category and the percentage changed. So instruction, this category of the budget would increase 5.3%. Administration, this category would increase 11%. Maintenance and utilities, 10.7%. Other services, 12.7%. Tuitions, 9%, for that total budget increase of 6.8%. So the total budget increase of $3,794,729. Medicaid, it's a separate budget line, but I've taken to showing it here because the town sometimes lumps it in with us. It pays for one staff member who does all the Medicaid claim work for us. That it has been underfunded for years. So we're proposing a 10% increase, $4,694 in that line. That line generated in fiscal year 25, her work generated revenue for the town amounting to $300,197. So it's a good investment for the town, obviously, of that one staff member doing that work and generating $300,000 in reimbursements from the government. So,
And I know you've explained this before, but when we get those reimbursements, they go to the town.
yes,
And so it's just considered revenue from to the town.
yes, it's revenue into the general fund of the town. Yeah,
Okay.
it does not come to the school department in any way. So I wanted to give you an idea of what's coming in terms of the budget. So March 2nd, we have another school committee meeting. So we'll certainly have the opportunity to review the budget further, and along the way, as you're reviewing that large budget packet, I appreciate you saying 70 pages. I think it's 91 pages,
okay.
Mr. Oliver.
I was thinking.
So,
Sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Kiley.
Yeah. Just so you know, that 91 pages is
Well,
going to
you're
be
the
up on
numbers
our,
guy.
it's going to be up on our website tomorrow morning.
And
It'll be publicly available on our website.
I want to say I really appreciate the comments that are made all the way over to the right about whether they're contractual
Yeah.
or
Yep.
why there's a change.
Yeah.
I almost wish there were more comments.
Me too.
On every line, but
Yeah.
I really appreciate how much goes into it and the transparency of
Oh, thank you.
every line. Appreciate that.
Thank you. So March 2nd, we'll have that opportunity. If anything comes up in the meantime, please reach out. We can certainly meet with you individually, or I can, or just have a phone call or whatever about any questions you have as you go through. March 5th, we are scheduled to present to the Finance Committee. I believe, I wrote it down, let's see. That is scheduled for 5 p.m.
Okay.
on March 5th. Then during March, we have the new budget advisory group. So we're kind of trying to figure out exactly what the role of that group is and how that works in the grand scheme of things. But because we've had a couple of meetings of that group so far and kind of feeling things out a little bit. But in March, we'll have some discussion with that group about the budget. I'm not sure exactly when. March 23rd, we would, according to our budget timeline, which is in the 91-page budget, and you've voted on previously, we will have a public hearing on the budget and also additional school committee budget review at that meeting, with the hopes that on April 13th, the school committee would review and vote a budget. So there's going to be a lot of budget discussion between now and then. I would anticipate that I've spoken to the town administrator and finance director, and they're going to be providing some additional information for your consideration as we make some progress here. I think for the next school committee meeting, we should have additional information from them. And then with an end goal that we get to the June 2nd spring annual town meeting with a budget that we feel is addressing our needs. And that's where we are with all this.
Mr. Kiley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have-
I just would say, again, just restate some of what I said at the beginning. I think a lot of thoughtful planning has gone into this. This is my third budget working here and being here in Dartmouth, and I do believe that we've seen a bit of an evolution in terms of the support that we have out there publicly and people being willing to come forward and acknowledge that the schools, I appreciated some of the comments that I heard here this evening, and moving forward, we do recognize that we need to work closely with town administration as well to make some decisions. I will mention, as far as the human resources position, that's a position that we actually added the first year that I was here, and we took it out, and then we put it in last year, and we also removed it. The town, it's Susanna Cunningham, who we have been in touch with, and she has provided us some support along the way, and I want to acknowledge the appreciation we have for that. It's more of the day-to-day work that we're talking about when we refer to a position such as an HR position. I thank Kate, who does a lot of the heavy lifting of the administrative tasks associated with HR. But there are other components to HR that we're talking about when we bring that position forward. But I feel really good about this budget. I do think that every position that we've put forward is a position that would greatly benefit the district, and as Mr. Kiley said, would advance our opportunity to implement the strategic plan in a meaningful way. And this is I think, a good step toward that. So thank you.
Let's start with Mr. Nunes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry about that, Chris.
No, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley, Dr. Saban McGuire, also Chris and Bess for your work on this. Great presentation. A couple of questions. Number one, I'm going to make an assumption, right or wrong, that the town is aware of what you are proposing for a budget?
Per se, yes.
Okay.
We've had discussions with the town administrator and with the finance director. They've also attended our budget subcommittee meeting, the last budget subcommittee meeting, in which we discussed in some level of detail what we're talking to you about tonight. So, yes, they're familiar with it.
Okay, thank you. And the only other thing, 91 pages I didn't print out or haven't looked at yet, but I will get to those, believe me. I went to the Department of Revenue's Division of Local Services website for our cherry sheet. I didn't get into the other municipalities around here. I didn't want to get totally aggravated. But what I did is just real quickly, the funds that affect the town, the Chapter 70, the school choice, the unrestricted general government type of deal, because, when you look at that, I mean, the veterans benefits and exemptions and state-owned land, well, that's, the state owns level funded. Public libraries, that's per se just, those are reimbursements and or pass-throughs to the library. We end up with $280,000 in the town, okay, approximate, okay? When you take, and again, I realize this is the governor's budget and it's got to get tweaked and such, but when you take the cherry sheet charges type of deal, we end up with a net of $169,000. Okay, I don't know, what we're supposed to do. I'm just wondering, and I may be preaching to the choir, not so much here, but out there, if it would behoove us to try and get Representative Markey in here, or his legislative aide, or somebody to, pound on the table to say, help us out, because when you look at the same type of communities around us type of deal, and they're getting a lot more percentage-wise than what we're getting. I'm not talking about the gateway cities. I can't fight. I'm not going to try and fight that fight. Okay? I've been at this too long. I'm not fighting that fight. But, when you get into, the Westports and the Fairhavens and the Acushnets and the Mattapoises, et cetera, and those figures comparative are, a lot bigger than ours type of deal. There's a problem. And I know it's going to take the legislature to change a funding formula that nobody wants to tackle, but somebody's got to tackle it. Just my 2 cents. So, just food for thought. Thank you for letting me indulge.
It's a 1% increase for the town. That's in terms of overall state aid. That's
1%.
That's what's projected based
Something's
on the governor's
wrong.
budget.
There's something wrong.
It's not fair.
No, it's not.
Equitable.
Not at all.
So, at the very least, we should all call.
Yeah.
a rep. Yes, Ms. Amell.
I don't want to, I know we'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss this, and I'm certainly happy to meet with you separately, but in terms of, moving forward with asking what we need, when you look at the requests not funded, I'm just curious about that, in particular, asking for a special education teacher. Special education is a federal requirement. It's heavily regulated, and having that as a need, it just feels, to not fund it, it wouldn't be asked for if it wasn't necessary. And so I just want to hear a little bit more about the rationale for that in terms of what the impact is with the, that highly regulated required role for students that need it. I'm also curious about the other two. I don't feel good about leaving those not funded because they are important positions that wouldn't be listed if they weren't needed. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, I would say as far as highly regulated, we absolutely fall within the standards and even beyond for supporting our special education students. So I just want to put your mind at ease in that way. There aren't any IEPs that aren't being supported in the Dartmouth schools. Part of what we talk about when we may add a special education teacher is, and I think this one was at the elementary level, is that how are we going to best utilize that elementary teacher, that elementary special education teacher, in a way that is strategic. So the teacher that we have not included in this budget is a teacher that would have been assigned to one of the elementary schools, and it would have actually created an imbalance across the elementary schools in terms of the number of teachers. So if we're going to ask for an additional special educator, it would be more consistent with a strategic approach to how we're utilizing additional staff. So we added those three. You see, we added the 4 ESPs and the 3 RBTs, and those were meant to balance out that request, specifically the 3 registered behavior technicians, because some of the requests that we're getting around special ed support is directly related to dysregulated students. And so this is one way that we were addressing that need out across all 3 of our elementary schools. So I'm happy to talk to you more about that, Ms. Samaral.
I didn't mean to imply that we weren't following.
No, I just,
the
I
law,
know you weren't applying.
but
I know you didn't, but I just want to be clear that we are. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Alt.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I got to say, in all my well, at least in the past 6 to 8 years of being on the school committee, this is one of the most well thought out budget proposals that addresses some of our needs. Certainly not all of them, but it certainly addresses it. It puts on the table, our needs, what we need to function as a school community. Make no mistake about it. 6.85%. There we go. Is high, right? And I think the town recognizes that. I know we kind of, Mr. Kiley alluded to the town admin and finance director being at the budget subcommittee meeting, and based upon some of what they were sharing with other needs in town, it's certainly concerning. I don't know. This is our first go at it, 6.85%. However, we're putting forward what we need, and we're doing it thoughtfully and slowly to get back to some kind of stable ground. But we're not there yet. There's still a lot of work to do. So it's just frustrating, right? That year after year we ask, and behind the scenes prior to this year, we reduce FTEs. Finally, this year, we're putting forward 3.5 additional FTEs, which are desperately needed in this district. I just hope that the community's hearing us. And ultimately, it's going to take some kind of fix to fix this structural deficit. But I'm certainly proud. I thank Dr. Stephen McGuire, Mr. Kiley, everyone else, the principals, administrators, Ross and Katie, everyone that, and Lori. If I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into this, so I think this is the right thing to do, and I'm looking forward to what the outcome's going to be. Thank you.
You good? I'm good. All right. I appreciate all the information. To be continued.
Okay.
And so let's hear the superintendent's update.
Great. Thank
But
you
I
so
feel
much.
like we've touched on a lot of it.
We have. I really was sincere in saying thank you to the DeMello students who did my job for me this evening. But in all sincerity, what they had to say was really powerful tonight in talking about what our students are learning and what your investment, because that was your investment in the strategic plan, your investment when you vote a budget, and then you trust us to go out and make decisions with our staff to implement a high-quality resource that's clearly having immediate impact on student learning. And I know Mrs. Correa mentioned the heavy lift for our teachers. Yes, it is a heavy lift for our teachers, but they're doing the work. We've been out in classrooms. We visited. This is sort of like our classroom visit, school visit week, the last couple of weeks, and we went and we visited grade 1 classrooms in our elementary schools across the district, and it is really validating and exciting and encouraging to walk into a first grade at the DeMello school, a first grade at the Quinn school, and a first grade at the Potter school, and see that the kids are all learning the same thing. There's consistency across the district. Katie's laughing because she knows I just always, cry. And that's the kind of, and it's good work. It's not just that they're learning lockstep. That's not the point here. The point is it is a high quality learning resource, and the kids are excited. They're engaged. You walk into classrooms across this district and you can just see and hear, because the students, as you heard tonight, like to talk about their learning. So on the flip side of that, MCAS season is underway. January, yay, right? It's MCAS, it's access testing. So just to assure you that we're on top of those things, Jonathan's office certainly has the bulk of the responsibility leading up into getting us ready for MCAS testing when it really hits in earnest in the spring. But there are things that are already happening. For instance, student rosters need to be uploaded in the MCAS portal for the state. Jonathan's team has to get out there and update and prepare Chromebooks for spring testing, because we need to make sure that they are in the best possible operating condition as we enter into testing season. So that's what we call, oh, that's really, I didn't mean that the way it sounded, testing season. So on February 4th, I'd add, we held our second early release Professional Learning Day. Educators are continuing to work in the professional learning strands that they selected earlier in the year. There's a lot of excitement that's building around those opportunities. And again, we're going to continue to listen to our teachers and respond. I know that surveys went out to seek feedback from folks on their experiences, and we'll continue to refine as we go along. On just this past February 5th, we had our principals meeting over at Dartmouth Middle School, who hosted. That's something that I've shared with the committee that we do every year. We move to different schools, different principals hosted, and so Mr. Rossi and his team hosted us. We were able to visit 8th grade science classrooms, and if you remember, that is that the middle school has piloted and is implementing Open Sci-Ed curriculum. Specifically, they were working on a unit focused on properties of matter. And similarly to what I shared about the excitement and engagement of our students at the elementary level around CKLA, we saw that same kind of excitement and student engagement when we visited our 8th grade middle school science classes. And in having conversation with those teachers, they're excited about the content they're delivering. And when I asked one of them, what's the difference between last year and this year? And she said, well, I've already done it. This is the second year. I feel so much more comfortable. And that is something that we constantly remind ourselves, that the first year of an implementation is always challenging. And that's not to say they don't have their challenges right now, but the teachers that I spoke with when we visited the middle school were excited about the work they were doing with students. So also on that day, Dr. Thibault and Mrs. Paveo led the monthly Project Time meeting. I'm hearing really good things about how Project Time is going. I know that Ross and Katie both recalibrated how that group comes together and the work they're focused on. And remember, that's a check-in with new educators. And we had a good crop of new educators last year, if you remember at the beginning of the year when they came out and introduced themselves. But this time they were focused on effective family and community engagement practices. So that's something, again, that supports our district's strategic plan. We had a student, a junior, and I'm not sure if our student representative mentioned this, but Gabriella Corchado, she represented Dartmouth High School at the regional Poetry Out Loud competition in Wellfleet. Now, what's exciting about that and connected to what we heard tonight was we heard our students talking about their engagement with poetry and how some of them now are right away starting to grow a love and understand that poetry is a really wonderful way for them to express themselves. So we'll see more of that in the future. On January 30th, Dr. Thibault, Mrs. Paveo, and I attended a legislative breakfast that was hosted by the Children's Advocacy Center. That's actually an event that we go to every year. And the reason that's important for us to do that kind or attend that kind of event is because what we take from it is opportunities to provide professional learning for our staff and students. In this particular group, Katie's working with them to come to Dartmouth. They'll be in Dartmouth with us for 2 sessions during upcoming elementary early release days. So we have that going on. Last week we had Amplify, professional learning representatives here to support our teachers as they continue the implementation of CKLA. Again, broken record, but supports our teaching and learning, our professional development, and that is one of our core commitments. On February 4th, Quinn School held a celebration of reading. I was lucky enough to be welcomed as a guest reader. So I got to read to a 2nd grade class. This is Rebecca Kelly's class. And if you ever need a book that will make kids laugh out loud and make you feel really silly, the book title is The Book with No Pictures. It's a winner, and they laughed through the whole book because I had to say some really silly things. And 7 and 8-year-olds really enjoy watching adults make themselves look foolish. So it was really fun, but we had quite a few staff members out there in the building at the Quinn School reading to students. So I always love being welcomed into teachers' classrooms to engage in that kind of experience. So under Safe and Supportive Schools at the secondary level, Mr. Crisafulli and Dr. Thibault are actually working with the Children's Advocacy Center to bring presentations on digital safety to health classes at the middle and the high school. So those are the kind of relationships that we continue to work toward building. Kim Redlawn has begun convening the district team. Again, those are if you remember, the train the trainer model, so she's doing that work now. I would also mention under Safe and Supportive Schools, and I think this is equally important, and I know you know this, but the issue around snow removal, the winter that we're having, has been a big, I think, a lot of work for our maintenance staff. I know I have a friend who lives here in Dartmouth, and she said, oh, they were out Saturday. I saw them everywhere getting the schools ready to open for Monday. If you want to just talk about that, Jim, because I know you've been in touch with John about that on a regular basis.
Sure. It seems like every weekend. It's just been really a bear this winter. I commend John and his staff in facilities and the custodians because, boy, there's been some tough conditions with the temperatures so low, too. On Saturday, it was particularly challenging with the timing of the snow and trying to get cleaned up late Saturday. But they've been working diligently to maintain our environments as best they can in very, very challenging conditions for sure. We haven't seen a winter like this in a long time.
So I say that under Safe and Supportive Schools because that could go under budget and capital improvements as well. But snow removal is clearly related to the physical safety of our students, our staff, and our faculty. I'd also mention that on February 4th, I mentioned that this was going to happen, but Dartmouth High School did host an informational panel for families of students with disabilities focused on post-secondary accessibility services. 5 local colleges participated, and the recording of the panel will be posted on the Dartmouth High School YouTube page, so you can look for that. I think that my next comment goes along with something that we've talked about earlier, which is that I've been meeting with several area superintendents to begin planning a legislative breakfast for the South Coast communities. So we have tentatively set a date of May 15th, And Mike Watson, who I know you all know, Superintendent of Greater New Bedford, has graciously agreed to host. Agreed to. I'm not sure he volunteered, but he agreed.
Voluntold.
Yeah, voluntold. And we'll be sharing more information about this. We wish it could be earlier, but we can't make that date, an earlier date, work. But this is something that we've talked about. As you know, I attend a monthly superintendent roundtable. It's not just made up of South Coast superintendents, but also Cape superintendents. And apparently, from what I'm learning, the South Coast has not had a legislative breakfast in quite a while. And so that's something we're working together to plan for. And even though it's a little later than we would normally want, it's still something that we believe we should do in order to just get things started. So I'll be sharing more information with you about that as the planning continues to unfold. I also mentioned that CPAC is going to hold its next meeting on Thursday, February 12th at 6 o'clock right here in the Library Media Center, and the topic is going to be post-secondary transition planning. So for family and community engagement, I actually already mentioned a couple of things to you, but I would like to also just let the public know that the preschool application process is open through March 20th. I think I mentioned this at our last committee meeting, but there will be an informational evening for families on February 25th at 6 p.m. at the Cushman School. And the kindergarten registration process is open today. So that opened today, and that is for the 2026-27 school year. As in the past, we want to urge families to register eligible children for kindergarten as early as possible, because it really is helpful to us in looking at what class size will look like and what our staffing needs will be. So we look forward to seeing seeing how our enrollment for our newest class kind of rolls out over the next few weeks. So that's my report. Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have much, but I do want to let everybody know that the spelling bee is on for this year, and it's April 1st. So think about whether you want to be a team, sponsor a team. And last year, we donated to sponsor a team. Do we have an interest in doing that again? I hope we do.
Fine.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. And does anybody? Yes, Mr. Nunes.
Two things, Madam Chair. One, I talked to you, and I know I've talked to Mr. Kiley about. Just wondering if we can put on the next agenda a discussion about snow removal, and no, not as a critical, but more so as we can get an update as to what the cost, what we've spent for snow removal. It's like every storm that we have is either on a holiday or a weekend or a holiday weekend type of deal, and it's not 2 inches. It's, this past one was 8 inches. We had 12 inches, a week ago, and 5 inches, and heavy wet stuff type of deal. So if we could just have a discussion on that, because my mind is, my gears are grinding with having to maybe talk about going to the FinCom for some money to cover this.
We will absolutely put it on the agenda.
And then, and I know I mentioned it at the last one, and I don't have any more information, but I will have it for the March 2nd meeting, but we're hosting, the music department is hosting our indoor color guard and percussion show on Saturday, March 14th. So I'll be looking for presenters, but I'll get more information and get that out at the next meeting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just have a couple things, and well, maybe one, depending on how the first one goes. You talk about transition planning, and I had a recent, one of my children recently transitioned out of the school district, and it just made me think about, when we're talking about students and high needs, I just want to say that it has been a pleasure, sometimes rocky, from 3 to 22. But there has always been beauty in partnering with the schools. And I just am grateful for the partnership that we've had all these years with that one particular. Still have some in the school district, but and I just want to speak to those parents that might be listening who do have a student and might be not quite understanding the needs of their child or how to articulate it or how to ask for help. I just want to encourage you to partner with the people that are closest to you in your classroom. They care about your student, they care about you, and they can only do what they can do. And you have so much value to add in terms of what the needs are in your home, because it's a partnership. It is, unless you move out and school choice out, which isn't always the best thing, it's like an undivorceable situation. Because we all live in this town, we care about this town, and we always have to think about the greater good. I won't get into details, but me sitting here is the greater good for a personal situation. And number 2 is that Tremblay Bus Company, Mr. Kiley, if you could pass along, unless they're listening, they have been instrumental in caring for my child and getting that child to and fro during the pandemic, before the pandemic. I always hear advertisements on the radio where they're looking for drivers and monitors, and they have become extended family to us. And in jokingly conversations with our bus driver recently, we were thanking them, and like I said, they are extended family to us at this point. I said we don't always hear the compliments, and we always hear the complaints. I just want to let them know how fabulous they have been, and that they are appreciated. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Good words.
So, nothing else? All right. Our next regular meeting of the school committee is scheduled for Monday, March 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. right here, Dartmouth High School Library Media Center. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Noon, second by Ms. Beckwith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It appears
Happy
that we are
Valentine's
adjourned.
Day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.